Right, I'll just paste in. There's 6 scenarios. Let's hope the format in Discord's right. So, the Great Dying, where your village is dying to disease, and you're going out into the wilderness to try and, you know, find resources or somewhere to move to. A legend, which is kind of like the one we did last time, when you're going out to look for the legendary city full of treasure. Two Sons, which is when you're going out to look for the missing sons. The Crossing, which is kind of like the Great Dying. You're going out and like taking your whole village on a nomadic trip to find greener pastures. The Horde, where there's like impending danger coming towards your settlement, and you're trying to like go out, find resources, get the place armored up, and then fight them off. Or Isolation, which is also like Great Dying and Crossing. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, none of them are just going out to different places looking for treasure.
Well, treasure is usually just a side effect of the awful choices we make.
Yeah, I was kind of one where you're just like adventurers, like treasure hunters, and you're just like going out from the different towns to look for treasure in different locations and trying to work your way along like that. Where your ultimate goal is just to hoard a bunch of treasure. And so we could also do that in addition to the ones out there.
I mean, the legend seems pretty close to that, though.
Yes, the legend is very like what we kind of did last time. But yeah, it's just to give it an overall sort of like theme, setting, objective to base the rest of it around, give it more of a kind of story. Rather than just a bunch of dungeon crawls, which is what it would be otherwise. Although I should probably write something there to have it so it's just like dungeon crawls as well.
I think I like the crossing.
Sure. Anyone else have a preference when it catches a fancy?
There's issues getting things sorted up here.
The crossing, I feel like, would be more against the elements, was as the game suggests. But I also like the horde, so I'm okay with either.
I've just got them in Discord, think. So the crossing being you and your entire village are travelling across the frozen wasteland to try and find somewhere better to set up. Horde is more stationary, I guess, because you're based around one settlement and you're going out looking for resources, brokering alliances and stuff like that to try and make sure that you're prepared for the incoming attack or war. Could also be seen as just like gathering treasure or gold so you can pay for mercenaries to help protect you. You could also play that as a more traditional sort of fantasy adventure, where the gnolls are like the big bad army, and you're basically going around trying to power up and stop them.
Well, those are my two options. So that means me and Blue Guy both.
Yeah, well, which you prefer, think?
Just having to read through them. I'm trying to make sure I get my PDF documents loaded and all that first.
Well, if you read the Discord thing, you can worry about the PDF after. Because I'm going to do the map before that anyway.
Yeah, I was going to be the odd one out and saying the Two Sons one, because that could be quite interesting as it follows sort of the idea of doing like adventure quests or looking for it as a side route.
Oh, see the aftermath of their adventure.
Well, basically, we're trying to follow them. He's trying to seek fortune for the an ancient city. So technically, one, we're looking at for treasure. So it gives you sort of mixed character development between our whatever characters we develop. Like some of us could be outside the village, and we're going there because the fact we're looking for the same treasure, and this is just a byproduct.
Yeah, so it's more of a sort of investigation one mixed with like adventure elements, because you're trying to track down someone. So yeah, you're following a cold trail and then you're trying to track down the person. Okay, I mean, you guys decide between you. I'll run whatever. Or if you want to do something completely different that you want to make up. It's just what kind of game you kind of want to play.
Is there a trait?
Go ahead.
Is there a trait that would let us speak to animals?
Oh, that's off the topic.
There might be. I don't know. I can't remember. I've not looked at this for a while.
I don't really care what we do as long as we're like struggling across the map pretty much. That was like the fun part to me on last time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
the general idea.
I'm fine with the Two Suns one. That sounds interesting also.
That's what I was thinking. The Two Sun one gives you sort of adventure style. We're still seeking out in big tundras potentially and all sorts, and we're not really stationary. I do like the whole idea of the horde one. It is different, but for the type of this type of game, though, I think it's more like trying to seek sort of adventure
Well,
while
with the
being
horde
sort
one, you can take a couple of ways. You could be trying to seek out treasure to pay for mercenaries and defenses, just to pay for them. Or you might be going out and like speaking to different settlements, trying to broker alliances, gather troops, that kind of way. Do you know what I mean? Or it can be a kind of traditional fantasy one where you're just taking it against the big enemy and you're trying to, if not outright defeat them, weaken them, find their weaknesses, bring a stop to them before calamity happens. So it's not that different from a traditional sort of fantasy adventure if you decided to play it that way. So I mean, there's different. It's the same with all of them. There's different ways you can kind of go about it. But the Suns one is definitely more of a kind of almost like investigation adventure. And it might be kind of more linear because you're following a trail. Do you know what I mean? There's only kind of like one path to really go, with just sort of like offshoots when things catch your interest. Sorry, Drac, you were saying something?
No, I was just saying like that's why I was just listing like what I wanted out of the game. So I don't really care what the overall scenario is as long as I get get the enjoyment out of it of
Yeah.
crossing the map and surviving against the elements and people dying like last time.
So do you want to go by Two Suns then? Everyone okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll try Two Suns this time, because we've only got so many sessions as well. I think it'd probably it gives us sort of like last time we had to go. I think it was the legend one, and we sort of had our glow balls, so we got we just went la 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 as well at the same time.
You good with that, Alex? Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, we'll go with Two Suns. Okay, so yeah, you'll be looking after these Two Suns. The first one set out on an adventure for Makash, never came back. The second brother went out looking for him, and then he never returned. And the brother, says to you guys, presumably you're also from the same village, and asks you to go find and bring her only sons home. Okay, so that'll be the premise of it. So before we dive into characters, I just want to kind of do at least the beginnings of the map. So, do I have... I don't think I have anything in the GM layer here. So I'm going to have to draw a star village. Which should probably be down here in the corner. What's the right size of text here? Alright, so this is where we're going to start in the start village, bottom corner of the map. And I'm thinking, like, it's all this big frozen wasteland of some sort. So there could be mountains, frozen lakes, ocean, coastline, tundra. You could have, like, alpine forests. You could have a slightly less frozen, just, like, cold tundra thing in the southern region, perhaps. Why is this drawing a box? I can roll 20. Do you want to hop into, or can you roll? Can you get into roll 20, Alex?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure. So for some reason my audio is coming out through my speakers and not my headphones.
Right. I usually just with areas first, don't I? So Jack, do you want to just take a light and draw like an area? Like a terrain area, a large one on the map somewhere.
Sure. Terrain, you said?
Yeah, any kind of terrain you think is kind of suitable. It could also be a political boundary if it's like a kingdom or something like that, or a fiefdom.
There you go.
The giant seagull coming in from the left.
Eagle, yeah. A mountain range, I suppose.
The line is mountain range, or the area within the line is mountain range?
Within, like the whole area within is like a mountain range.
Okay.
So there's like a bunch of mountains in there.
Sure. Do you want to give it a name?
Boar Mountain, I guess.
Boar Mountains?
Yeah. I forgot how to write text on these things. It's been so long since
Yeah,
I've
I'll
used
do
stuff
it.
like this.
You mean boar as in the animal boar?
Yeah. That's not text. That's text.
I got you.
Oh, okay.
So bad at letting you edit ones that are already there. I'll fix that later. I'm going to like draw a proper map with this info later anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, Tank, do you want to go ahead and draw a big area for us? Maybe a type of terrain, or an ocean, or a political boundary.
Yeah, just like,
It's funny, see when I'm playing like Glim, you know I usually do a lot of kind of like asking players to fill in blanks for stuff, just to give you a lot more sort of authority in the world. And he
Right.
really doesn't like that. He keeps going like, "It's your world. You tell us, goddammit." I think he thinks I'm being lazy or something. I'm just like, I just like to get other people's input, do you know what I mean?
sort of a rubber line, basically. Just drawing a few bits of
Sometimes when it's my turn, I'd be like, can I just pass?
Yeah, and that's fine, but I just like to give everyone a chance, do you know what I mean? I think it gives you a bit more investment in things as well sometimes, when people get to do descriptions and shit. But yeah, he gets really kind of like, "It's your world, you lazy fucker." Right, so sorry, you think this is a river?
Yeah, it's like a rubber line, and it goes obviously to a big sort of reservoir.
Okay, so it'd be a lake at the end.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm assuming these are like mostly frozen then.
most are frozen, but also the village needs some sort of water supply, so that's why they use that there. The
Yeah,
rubber
yeah,
one
yeah.
there.
So it'll get more frozen as you kind of go northwards.
Yeah, and that's obviously the big, massive frozen lake, basically.
Sure, do you want to give the river and or the lake a name? Also, wasn't what I was actually asking for, because we do like things like that later, but it's fine.
You can change that, it's no problem. We'll just
No.
The Ecto River, s2e0.
Do you want to type that in Discord for me or in the chat? Whatever's easiest.
I'll just try to put the text line.
Let's see what I want to put in. So we got mountain range, got the river.
I tried to write it in there. I'm not sure it's not going perfect though.
Yeah, it's fine as long as I got a note of it, so I can do it proper.
I'm trying to look up a name for the river, not for the lake.
The lake, yeah. I mean, it could be like cheesy, generic, fancy name stuff. Right, how do I draw a line here?
Ice Flow River.
Can I just get a green here? It's only that's fucking bright green. So I'm just going to draw this along the bottom. And this is just going to be like a alpine forest, big dense forest here. If it'll let me. What the fuck do I call the forest? Evergreen forest. Oh,
There we go. The Gina Congrera Lake.
Regina Congleta.
Frozen Queen.
In what language?
Italian.
Italian, okay. I mean, the Italians have the Alps, so they do have a frozen area, so it's not completely out of character. I just might change this colour green here. This is way too bright. There you go. I can't actually read that. If you want to take a pen on it, Alex, and draw an area for us. So we have a seagull flying in from one side and a penis just sitting on the other.
Yeah, that's just like I guess a methane swamp. That would be in a cold place, wouldn't it?
The peatlands, because they usually
Right,
like
it's like-
methane when they thaw out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be like a frozen peatland though, because that's quite north, isn't it?
Yeah, we're like just I guess every once in a while the ground breaks and just methane pops out of nowhere.
Yeah, so maybe like, I don't know, a couple of months in the summer, or a month in the summer, where it thaws enough. Okay, is there a name for that place?
And it's not letting me open any of the things. The text box.
Just tell me what you want to call it, I'll type it in.
How about the broken ice flats?
Alright, Tink, do you want to like draw an actual area this time?
Maybe like a bordering nation type things or anything, or what is it?
Yeah, it could be a political boundary, or just a large terrain area. Something that's an area, or a line of border of some sort. It could also be a coastline. So, what's this? I realise I should probably try to type it as I say this.
Sort of a rock field plain. It's like it's still sort of frozen, but it's like hot jets of steam going across it.
So, like a volcanic kind of land, geysers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll comment. Obviously, something deep within there. Also, is just hurrying, shooting it through the ice.
Okay, what do you want to call this area?
Italian.
Do I draw in another one for his drag?
Yeah. So it's just gonna be like the freelance, just where a group of people live. They don't really have a government or anything like that. Like there's no kingdom or anything leading them.
So tribes beyond the wall kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, probably like there's a bunch of tribes that live up there.
It does not like the colours I pick. Alex, do you want to draw another one? So we've got mountains, we've got these methane peatlands. These Italian geyser rocklands. A forest.
This is just a mountain with a dragon in it.
Can you do an area? Because we'll do locations, like specific locations after that.
Okay. How do I erase it?
Just leave it where it is, because you can have that after.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think of what else we need.
Political boundaries mostly. We ain't got no kingdoms or nothing.
Yeah, you could have a kingdom of some sort, or a fiefdom. Could be an area controlled by bandits or something like that, or the gnolls. You could have more mountains. You could have like a particular type of terrain or landscape.
You should have your mountain in the middle of like a knoll, like a kobold controlled area. That's like the
I
god
was
of wardrobe.
just thinking of that. Like, that's their god, but he doesn't really care about them. They just bring him food, so he doesn't eat them.
So this is what the kobold lands.
Yeah, the glorious red cobalt kingdom.
You should probably type that in. I'm not sure what's black in mine. Because I got my dark mode on. I don't know what's black and what's white.
Well, for some reason, whenever I click with the text box, it just makes a small box and then vanishes.
Yeah, it's kind of fucky. Hang on. I'll just try and do it grey.
Yeah, what I've been is I've been copy and pasting line, or I've been hold down the button when you click the text thing and then write it in. That's what I'm doing in mine.
Oh, okay, that worked.
Oops.
Road part of his land.
The land has been butchered.
How did I even select that? There you go.
Well, you could have left it there. We could have made it more of an oblong shape.
I mean, that is an oblong shape. Alright, Cobalt Kingdom. What do we not have that typically have? I guess if the rest of it just is tundra.
I mean, what if we have small alpine forests dotted around?
I mean, I'll probably just like have like copses and small forests. I'm just thinking like major ones. I may do a coastline at the top here. Freehand,
Ice
blue.
flats are like sort of like the more frozen sort of based areas and same for lakes. And as we walk further on, it gets sort of a warmer region, so probably something like a colder region where I like above the broken ice lands.
I mean, it's all frozen and cold. That's kind of the point.
I mean, more sort of like more tundra in a sense, more.
Well, it's all tundra. That's what I'm saying. The default landscape is going to be like tundra, open tundra. This will just be like a coastline at the top here, with just like a frozen ice cap at the top. Okay, so then we'll do a specific like location. So what's your dragon mountain called? Or is the mountain actually the dragon, like all covered in rock and fossilized?
Yeah, he's just been asleep so long he just turned into a mountain.
So it's a mountain that's said to be a dragon.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, try and give it a name if you can read beside it. Drac, you want to draw like a specific location?
Yeah. Let's see here. So this is like this is like a plain full of like it's just like sharp icicles or whatever that stick up out of the ground.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what that's going to look like. I was watching the Top Gear one when they drive across the North Pole.
Call it a what, like death path or something, death pass or something like that. I don't know. Not many people, they try to avoid it if they can, go around it.
Yeah, it's like practically impassable. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's Fassel Zakar's mound.
Tink, do you want to draw a specific location? I'm going to put in our ruins somewhere. So what's that one, Tink?
Caves.
Caves? A cave, you mean?
Basically, yeah, cave sort of mining area, it's like it is ground, sort of sort of old mining shafts, things like that.
What's special about the cave? Isn't Nido a Pokemon?
I only word for nest, so it's basically it's supposed to be a nest of treasures and jewels. It's supposed to attract like multiple sources
Right, okay.
and businesses to attend that to try and
Okay, so is
sort of
it
like a gold rush, sort of like a gold rush in a sense, but except it's obviously it's different types.
so
of
is it old
materials.
abandoned mines then?
No, it's still sort of active, but it's more swarmed with creatures, so it's more of a risk to mine from it than it is to actually.
So there's still people mining there, is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's still people mining there, but
Right,
obviously
okay.
it's a high risk. It's like high risk, high reward place.
do another location each, maybe.
Yep.
Alex, you want to draw one?
Sure.
You probably want to do a couple of settlements because otherwise you're not gonna have anywhere to go to like
Well, that was gonna be
restock.
my next one.
That was
gonna be
what I
my
was
next
doing.
one.
Yeah.
I was gonna hold of it too.
This place is just it's a place where two just giant tree roots are sticking through the ground for some reason, and there's a barbarian settlement around it, like barbarian druid kind of people.
Do I give it a name? Put a name side up. Drac, you want to go draw one?
Yeah. Can I just do a circle? Yeah, there we go.
Circle, square, whatever. X.
Let's make that a little bit closer. Well, since it's Ecto River, this is gonna be like this Ecto Village or Ecto something like that, you know. Something simple, Ecto Village or town since it's out on the river.
Okay.
And it's like, it's they usually just made to like transport goods up and down the river. That's kind of like what they do. When it's, you know, not frozen, and then they, I don't know, I guess they use dog sleds or something when it is. Fuck it.
So I think you want to put one in. I mean, I can tell just from looking at this, most of the journey to begin with, at least, is going to be along the river.
Yeah, that's kind of why I put mine right there at Death Pass to give us
Yeah.
like, you gotta either go through Death Pass or you gotta have someone take you on the river, get around it.
I'm thinking most outposts would probably be around things like that. So that's what I've done. It's the last outpost.
Okay, so what kind of outpost is it?
It's basically like a main sort of stopping point or last stop point. Oh, 2 seconds.
So is it like hunters and trappers or something like that?
That's like
2
six.
seconds, Sean.
I also have a cat fucking bugging me in my keyboard.
Right, as we it's basically like the last sort of trade post that goes anything in and out from that area. Obviously, because it's at the frozen point itself.
Okay, so it's the last kind of point of civilization out that way.
Yeah,
And then it's just
anything-
and then it's just like blank tundra that leads to the geyser lands where there's not really going to be anything habitable anyway.
that is known. Yeah,
Okay, I mean we're not going to have any towns or villages around the Cobalt Kingdom because I'm guessing they're going to be like in burrows and shit like that. I'm trying to think where else makes sense for a settlement of some sort.
Over here by the caves, it'd be like some kind of mining company, but like a town formed around it. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess I'd draw a road there actually.
something like the Freeland tribes would not be as well, as in like their own sort of community.
Yeah, but they're not going to have like roads. That's going to be like paths and shit through the wilderness, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
So the mine town here, and then I'll do a little road. If I can get a colour that works.
There was an anime I watched. It's called The Black Company. Mining town pretty much like enslaved the workers. They weren't slaves. They were just always in debt, so you couldn't leave anyways.
Watch that was hilarious. That one.
Well, you watched that one?
Yeah, I watched that one. I couldn't stop laughing at it.
Which one's
Yeah,
that one?
It's called Black Company, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, Black Company.
Yeah. So like a lot of the world was taken over by like conglomerate companies, and like the guy starts off as a miner in a mine. Anyway, and you're not a slave, but you're so much in debt, you might as well be a slave. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I thought when he put the caves there. I was like, this gonna be like a mining company. It's just taking over the whole town. Everyone works for him. They're all like slaves because they're all indebted to him because the town like pays for all the food and gear and the living
Yeah,
expenses.
corporate type
All
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, as would be a lot of time it used to be, right? Because they would give you like a contract and you go out there and you're working off the contract the whole time you're there. I mean, it doesn't really make sense for there to be another settlement outwards. I mean, maybe along the edge of this forest somewhere.
Well, we might need one or two settlements for the freeland tribes.
So they have like just a bunch of like camps all around the place,
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna like, I don't know if they'd be permanent settlements as much.
like nomad tribes.
Yeah, nomadic. Because presumably if the seasons change and stuff, they would move to match that anyway.
Oh, probably like moving towards the coast during the summer and then back below the mountains over the winter or something.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, that'll do for now. That's kind of enough. If you think of something else, you can just pop it on there. Like a point of interest or something. Just trying to think. I need to try and think where they were going. Because they must have heard of something initially to go out and seek treasure. So presumably you like learn of places as you go along it anyway.
Right, I just thought of something for the river.
Yeah, just stick it there.
We're gonna do the rumors next, or we're gonna skip that part of this map making.
Yeah, you could do like another spot if you want, or add to one of the spots that are already existing to come up with a rumour that you've heard about it. Write these down in a file. So obviously that mound is supposed to be a sleeping dragon.
Yeah.
Maybe the old castle will have some mystery or something behind it.
I'm gonna say that in the mountain range, the Boar Mountain range, there's rumors of like precious gems and metals, and that's why the freeland tribes push the borders out so much. Like where they camp at, they didn't want no one else going up there and taking it from them.
I don't know, would that make sense for there to be a beaver dam in just the middle of a tundra?
Giant ice beavers, sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like a big old ice beaver dam, yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking either a beaver dam or a waterfall.
Oh, I mean, there'll be waterfalls and rapids and stuff like that to make it spicy. But yeah, Beaver Dam's good. There's probably like a little sort of lake created behind that as well, if there's a dam there. You got a rumour about somewhere, Alex? Or your
Well, I already had the dragon.
Mountain? Sure, okay. Tink, you got a rumour about somewhere?
I was going to say, at the Gina concept, there's rumored that there's a giant ice castle, or there's a secret ice castle in the middle of the lake, but no one obviously can ever see or get to it practically.
What part, sorry?
The sort of big lake bit, the Regina.
Regina, okay.
The Regina Conga. I can't even read it now, but I wrote.
See, this is what you get for typing stuff in a language you don't speak and can't pronounce properly.
Yeah, let's try to be fancy.
Regina Lake, I'm going to just say that. So there's supposed to be an ice castle in its waters?
Yeah, there's stories of like ice queens or fairies or something that helps grant wishes. Is that type of rumour?
Is it just like a giant floating piece of ice that looks like a castle through the fog?
No one knows because no one can find it.
It'll be one of those ones that only appears to certain people or something like that.
Are we doing only one rumor?
If you can think of a good one, you can give me another one.
Do you have a rumor for Death Pass yet?
We do not.
A Yeti.
There's another reason not to go there.
Should that not be in the mountain range, Ayeti? Because the Death Passage is like an ice field.
How about there's someone heard about a Yeti in the mining town or in the Nido mining mines? No one's seen it yet, but they've heard noises.
Sure, and it eats people.
Or maybe just no one survived seeing it.
Okay, I got one for the broken ice flats.
Yeah.
Supposedly, an adventurer at one point had hoarded up a bunch of treasure, and he hid it in the broken ice flats. Kind of like the pirate Blackbeard.
Here, let me fix the ice flats since there's a coast there now.
Well, it's a peat field, methane field, isn't it? So it wouldn't necessarily be linked to the coast. I mean, you can get coastal boglands, but it doesn't have to be like close to it. I was trying to think of a good one for the geyser lands.
I was going to suggest what legend speaks of a legendary orb that says it could heat a village for its lifetime in the frozen plains. Something like that, anyway.
Well, what if, because the geyser lands are usually volcanic lands, so what if, and that's geothermal stuff, so what if the legend is, you know, there's something under the ice there that causes it to heat up and get warm? And it's something it's like an artifact you could supposedly take out and use to heat places.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was going to think of the word out there.
I mean, I worded it extremely poorly, but that kind of thing, like an artifact.
The last one I could think of is they speak that there was a legendary thief who stole a fortune from loads of nobles and riches, and the supposed place or the hideout where he had all this treasure was in the Boar Mountain range.
So he like absconded to the mountain range and never came out.
Basically, yeah, and his treasure's never been found.
Typing
Because
this
there's
out.
lots of places to find them. So there's lots of ideas where you can find the child.
So there's just a madman going around hiding treasure everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we assume that the frozen coast isn't always or wasn't always frozen, you would have a lot more kind of like traffic up the northern end anyway. Okay, so characters.
You can get mine to work for me.
So
I
this
didn't work.
is... Where have I put the character sheet? Okay, that's the right character sheet.
Can you, where's the PDF with all the extra info on it?
It's also in the Discord there, it's pinned. It's called the ATE Beta.
Okay, I got it.
And it should have a sheet that's got like, or a page or two that's got like the traits and spells and stuff like that. You don't need to worry about equipment because that's just going to be like adventure gear where you just like declare it as you pull it out and mark it off on your thing. But same with supplies. So basically the way it's going to work is you'll mark debt. That'll refill. I'm not sure if it's refill your gear and supplies or gear or supplies, but you'll mark debt in town to refill those. And then when you get treasure, you can spend that to unmark debt and pay it back. So it's all kind of like abstracted. Yeah, so yeah, don't need to worry about items or anything like that.
Back to 2e6, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you get 12 points to spend on skills, a trait to pick, and then you answer the question, who are you? Although you can answer the who are you question like in the first session. I think I've got notes there about like party composition as well for like ideas of what kind of skills to make sure the party has spread amongst them. So these aren't like lacking in anything that you're going to need. Like the Pathfinder was quite important last time.
Yeah, because I was thinking about being like kind of a druid healer.
Yeah, I mean healer's going to be important.
But I'm trying to decide if wizard sight or if I should try something else. Are we able to think of traits, or are we just stuck on using the ones on the list?
Stick with the ones on the list for now. I want to make sure the stuff that I've got is workable.
What about spells and rituals?
Same with them, if you just kind of stick to the suggestions I've got down there.
Anyone taking scout? Because I guess I'll take scout if no one else does.
I have a survivalist.
I'll take scout. I'll be tracking targets. I'm assuming we want that since we're trying to track 2 people into, I don't know if that'll help after it's already been a cold trail, but I'll take it anyways.
In the same way that we were doing like roles for making camp and scouting and that kind of stuff in the Pathfinder and the wilderness, you need someone to make a similar kind of role when you're in town to make sure that you get provisions and you get somewhere good to sleep. So you'll want someone with that sort of social skill for that.
Well, I was gonna do that the tree shape ritual, but I guess that's not on the list, so I'll I can change that to something else. What other skills do we need? Because right now I have a survivalist, and then a few spells.
Well, I mean, Tink can take some as well. You'll want a Pathfinder, obviously. You probably want someone that can hunt or forage for extra supplies if you need them. You might want someone for when you're going through like caves and mines and underground stuff.
That'd be considered a dungeoneer. Oh, by chance, or
Dungeoneer,
no?
yeah. And cook is also something that can give you like extra fatigue back and stuff when you make camp.
Alright, I can put a point into cook.
I got 2 points left, so I can put something. I guess I do Pathfinder and some scout. That would make the most sense.
Yeah.
So I put 2 points in that.
And then I put the other 2 points into lore master.
Lore master.
Yeah, so I can just spout useless things about the world.
Oh, don't worry about these massive reptilian tracks. These are actually bunny rabbits.
Yeah, they're just giant reptilian rabbits.
Very friendly.
So when I level up, what ritual do you think would be closest to letting me control trees? Would that just be?
Sure.
Would Great Spirit just be the MacGuffin ritual?
Great Spirit. I mean, that's more calling it down to for its spirit form to like do something for you. So I mean, it could kind of be reanimate, because then you're bringing like a structure to life.
Oh, okay, yeah. I get that works. So which spell should I keep then? Should I take a point out of Shapeshift? Or get rid of Shield?
You like your shapeshifting, don't you?
Yeah, I want to turn into a squirrel.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, wasn't he in safety the last time? I was like, what's it?
Squirrel.
That's why I wanted
Powers
to touch trees.
activate.
We were just.
Yeah,
I would be where the squirrels are.
Yeah, my plan was to grow a tree when we camped and just turn into a squirrel and hide in the tree.
So you get 12 points to spend on skills, Tink. And we were just discussing which kind of skills need covered by the party as a whole.
Okay, just trying to find the skill list.
It's a separate PDF. It's the beta one.
So how do we mark our load and all that? Like, 'cause I know you don't have like,
Right
I know
here.
gear and supplies is a little weird on this one.
Okay, so your gear and supplies, when it's empty, you're fully loaded up on gear and supplies. And
When
then
it's
as you use them, you mark them off until it's full, which means it's empty.
So how does load work then? How do I know how much load I have?
I just put it on like
So there shouldn't be a load. It's treasure, gear, supplies, then fatigue, injury, stress, cold, and debt.
Well, you said load is marked for each item held in inventory. In the case of supplies, these are each counted as a single item with one load.
I was just keeping track of it on
Have
the
you...
inventory.
I think that's a different PDF, mate.
I'm looking at the
Is
wrong
that the
one.
old one?
No, I just opened this one from the Discord you sent in.
The one that's
Beta
pinned?
01.
Oh, not your sheet isn't on the beta one. The beta one was just the rulebook kind of like printed out
Yeah,
and filled.
I opened ATE Beta 01. That's the one that was pinned.
Yeah, that's got all the like info for it, but the actual character sheet is pinned. It's an actual character sheet PDF.
Right, and I have that. So like, how do I know was? Oh, it doesn't have a load on it. I
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying.
Just ignore all the load references. That's like the old stuff.
Okay.
When you set out, you're going to be full of gear and supplies, and you mark them off as you go along.
Alright, so when you use the supplies, we mark it. Then when we make
Yeah,
camp,
and then when you get
off.
to a town, you can mark debt to like refill your gear and supplies, because you're taking down debt to get it full, and if you have treasure, you can use that to pay off debt.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So yeah, so when we
Food
make camp or we eat food, we mark supplies, and then when we forward, we unmark the supplies technically. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if it makes more sense for your brain, you can fill all of it in and then unfill them as you go along, if that kind of makes more sense to you.
No, it's okay. Now that I know how it works, it makes sense. When it
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
full, I'm in trouble. When it's empty, I'm good.
Yeah.
You get 12 skill points in each. You get a maximum of each can cost one skill.
Yeah, so each rank in the skill is a point. You can have a max of rank 3 in one skill. In any one skill. So, you picked Pathfinder and what already?
So I have Scout and I have Pathfinder. So that's like keeping an eye on the track ahead and finding like tracking our people down.
There you go. I posted it in the RPG page on Discord. The ATE one.
Okay, so you're Shapeshift Heal, Survivalist. Survivalist is good for making camp and foraging, I guess. Shield, Lore Manster, Cook for cooking, and Reanimate for dispel. So you want somebody with a social skill of some sort for when you're actually in town to find lodgings and stuff like that. You want Dungeoneer if you're going to be going into mines and caves and dungeons.
I could always change Lore Master to Orator.
I think the best way to look at it is, if the aim is obviously always a role playing, right? Is we each take 2 of the vital skills that we need, and then have 2 skills that we can generally just have for some sort of like characterization. If you think of it that way.
Well, that's also assuming only 6 of the skills are the vital skills.
And yeah, that point. Is it only 6 was playable, or was there someone else?
I mean, I would say off the bat, Pathfinder is an essential skill because we used that like all the time in the last one.
Mm-hmm. Then I got that one.
Heal is always useful.
Heal is definitely useful. Dungeoneer is basically Pathfinder for when you're in a dungeon or underground scenario.
I'll happily take, say, Dungeoneer, Healer, and Hunter, because that's sort of ideals of what my character's sort of like.
The social one is Persuader.
Or merchant. There was like a merchant one, something like that. Would help us buy supplies and stuff.
Would an orator help?
Yeah, I mean, there are different ways of doing the same kind of thing.
See you later.
So is
Like that
merchant
one.
as well. Yeah, so somebody's going to want at least one of those. They'll be situational depending on the type of town, the type of person you're interacting with. But somebody's going to want at least one of those for when you get into town to actually find you lodgings and such. Otherwise, you're going to be like sleeping on the street.
Alright, I took 1 point out of Lore Master and put a point into Orator.
And then you've got things like smiths and armors and all that for like repairing things.
Spells and all that, and rituals, they count as points as well, don't they?
Yeah, a skill or a ritual is just a skill. Oh, sorry, a spell
then-
or a ritual is just a skill.
My trait right now is Wizard Sight.
I looked at it like I gave myself 5 main skills, and then like anything else we need, I'll learn over the course of the journey. Like
Mhm.
he's like, oh shit, we need this, so let me learn it. Oh shit, we need that.
Yeah, because I mean, having one dice or something is good, but as we know, that's still like a 50% chance to fail. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything that's above. All my things are either 2 or 1 right now.
Yeah, see, I got 2 3s, point blank.
yeah, I think,
Pathfinder's a 3.
yeah, if you want to be decent at anything, you're going to want 2 points into it.
And then I've got 1 for the extra stuff like reanimate. Just stuff I hopefully can level up later if we need it.
I think a lot of the kind of crafting stuff comes more into maybe like the Horde one or something where you've got like a settlement that you're dealing with.
Right.
Because you'll be doing things to like build up the defenses and shit like that.
Or should I take healer or take the healer spell? I'm not sure it would be better.
I already have the heal spell.
Alright, so I'm probably better just taking healer in a sense then.
Yeah, because then I guess if one of us is injured, we can always help each other with that.
Okay, so I'm maxing out my 3 main ones, which are Dungeoneer, Hunter, and Healer, right? I'll probably use my last ones for a couple of spells, maybe. If you use our covering, obviously, sort of the speaking things in the town and such. For part of the investigation, possibly. I'm not sure that would work in Collie for speaking
Yeah,
as
I mean,
well.
the other thing is if you're doing investigation things, somebody's going to have to be good at like speaking to people.
I'm just gonna use Orator, just go into the middle of town and just start telling a long story about our entire journey so far and what we need help with.
In the form of a poem.
Yes, in a haiku.
Like the bard from Witcher. What trait did you take, Drac?
Sharp-eyed. Sharp-eyed.
Sharp-eyed.
Yeah. I took 1 spell.
What spell did you take?
Bolt.
That's a good one.
Yes, it's good that one of us can deal some kind of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that,
So far, my weapon is a stick, and I can use the shield spell.
Do you have a skill for using the stick?
No, it's just a giant branch that he probably picked up off the ground.
Okay, and then you'd be rolling like 2 dice and using the worst result. Because you don't have a fighter or anything like that.
Yeah, but I can always shapeshift into like a bear or something.
I got 1 point left to spend. Anything we need in particular?
Just looking at how many fighters do we have.
Well, I got fighter as a skill, and I got bolt, so I can at least do damage.
Yeah, and I think last
Unfortunately.
time, whenever I shapeshifted into something, I used shapeshift to attack, right?
Yeah, because if you've changed into that animal, presumably that spell is like the skill of being that animal and doing the things that that animal is able to do. So you roll it for like clawing someone or biting someone or chasing after someone. You're probably not going to roll it if you're trying to do something like open a door or use anything that requires a hand rather than a claw.
Basically, anything that animal couldn't normally do, I would just roll the disadvantage on.
Yeah. Or if you were able to do it at all. And because for a door, you could probably like break down a door through brute strength rather than just unlock it. But if it's something that requires like the finesse of a human hand, you're not going to be able to attempt that because you don't have the digits for it.
Well, I mean, if we're in a town, I could always turn into a squirrel and climb up the chimney and just hope the fireplace isn't lit.
Yeah, sure. Or
Then again, I guess if
fall down and become the next meal.
I guess if we're in a cold enough place, the fireplaces are always lit.
Depends. They might not even have fuel for a fire, depending where they are. I guess we could do like the first question on the sheet, which is who are you as well. So that's just your physical description and who are you as a person. And your name, obviously.
My guy is called Aladdin. He's a young druid from the village.
Oh, you probably want to double check that your PDF is actually saving properly as well, because they have a habit of not doing that.
Go ahead, download that.
I don't know what it is. I also have to do save as with mine, otherwise it does not save.
I guess he was trained by the village shaman or village druid or whatever this village has.
Yeah, so like you're not a trainee as such, but you're like a apprentice or a younger, less professional, less experienced version of a druid, a shaman, a wizard.
And then his shield spell is just roots are up out of the ground and block.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when the village is down there next to the forest as well, that you've got looking at forest elements to your magic.
Yeah, so it was like the ice one from last time, I guess, where it'll work better in places where its element matches, right? But work worse in like hot places.
Yeah, you might get like an advantage to like an extra dice if it's like actually happening in the forest, but if you're in the tundra, less so. What about you, Dragon Tank?
My guy's name, I'll type it in the chat. Name's Evander. No last name. Pretty much like the scout for the village. He goes out and just does stuff. That's why he's being asked to do this, and he just has like a few skills and a lot of different things. So I have like one in magic, which was bolt. I got one in sailor, just because we live up by a river. He's a fighter. You can scout, pathfind. Kind of like sticks to himself. He's just like does a bunch of odd jobs for the chief.
So presumably, if you're a sailor in the village, you've got like access to, if not a boat of your own, to go in the river.
I would say like the village has a boat, you know. So
Mhm.
like when we had to go up the river, I'm just like part of the crew. So
Yeah.
I'm sailing.
Yeah, so there's an element of trade going on in that river, at least in the warmer months.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking if Death passes there and it's like an ice sheet, that part of the river's definitely going to be like frozen. At least most of the time.
Yeah, you pretty much have to like get the boat on land, and then you have to like fucking go around.
Yeah, like the 4 guys pick up on their shoulders and carry over.
Yeah.
Oh god, there's a name for those sections of land between the sort of lakes and rivers. I can't remember what it's called though.
Sandbars or something like that, but not quite.
No, sandbar's just like literally, say, like a sandbank on the river that kind of, when it's low tide or whatever it goes, it kind of sticks out.
Right.
There's actually a name. I watched like a thing where a guy goes in Canada, and he takes his canoe out and goes across the lake and then picks it up and hikes it like a mile overland into the next lake. And there's a fucking name for that section. I can't remember what it is. So, what do you guy think? Assuming it is a guy.
Yeah, can't really think of the name of it. We call him Runic. Which got basically he's into like lures and rituals, and basically and went too far and got himself sort of cursed. So now he's half goat, like the bottom half of his goat is a goat. His top half's still a man.
Okay.
So he's used to also keeping away from village and people, or he basically goes on like missions for people on the road just to obviously keep himself alive and survive.
So he's a bit more of an outsider, hermit type.
Yeah. He's known for like obviously just going for hunting for people for things and that, or helping people out just to either get himself by or for information to find if there's a way to remove his curse in some way. As he used to be rich in the past and all sorts and wealthy and things, and obviously all that's gone.
What was your guy called again, Alex? Aelin?
Eladan. What was that?
So Eladin, Evander, and Runic. So Runic's this half satyr goatman type person. Does he also have horns, or is it just all his lower half?
Just his lower half.
Right.
That's why he sort of went to the colder tundra, because ironically his bottom half works better in like moving around through like the snow and going through like the mountains and such.
Yeah, he's more nimble in his feet. And Eldin's sort of druidic, and Evander's the town scout pathfinder type person.
Yeah. No, take Pathfinder part of his skills are taken. I took sort of Dungeoneer in case he's ever goes through places, Hunter, Healer, Archer, and Lure Master. As obviously when he got himself cursed, he keeps looking to different lures.
Okay, so the only person that has like a social skill then is the orator, correct?
The orator, that's it.
Oh, you took Lore Master also? I'll get rid of mine then.
Do a speaking thing in that one probably, but because I thought I was half goat man, it probably didn't make as much sense.
There we go. I put my two. Now I have 2 points in Orator, but no Lore Master.
Okay. I just love the idea, like every town you're going to be like poems.
I thought about putting a point instead of sailor into like persuader or something, but then I didn't like. No, you know what? He wants to orate. I'm just gonna let him do it.
If you're going to be going up the river at the start, particularly, sailor's a good one to have.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm just gonna let him orate, and that's how we're gonna get info, hopefully. And I'll just take sailor.
I got most of the social together because there's also manipulator, merchant, and persuader.
I was also thinking peasant could be one if you
Yeah,
like.
I was thinking that as well.
peasant.
Peasant could kind of work, especially if it's like an outpost type place. Because they're just kind of like getting real with them. Yeah,
Seems one of mine.
the scholar or the
Peasant.
theologian would work if you were going to a more sort of educated place. So you think what you say?
I think I want to change put one of my points down to just get a 1 point into a speaking one. Just like peasant, because technically, obviously, he's lost everything now, so. So no, he'd be.
I'm just wondering how much sense the Dungeoneer really makes for your guy as well. I mean, I know you want it as a skill for the team. I'm just not sure how it really
Well, it
fits
depends.
into it is.
Well, it depends on if we're going to go to the cave or not. Yeah, really.
And even if we go to the caves, I'm sure we can find someone from the mining town or from a tribe to lead us through the caves.
But it's something we could get out through leveling anyway as well, possibly.
Yeah, you
And
can. That was gonna be my thing. When we leveled up, I was like, okay, so we needed this on the journey, so my guy could just learn that. You know, we'd have it from now on.
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of look at the map and see roughly how far out things are and work out if you really need it till later on, because you might level up into it before then.
might put him in that few later, then eventually. Because also he tried to trick his way to trying to get things from the gods, and also it backfired in his ritual. Because he's not really been a peasant in a sense, because he's lost everything, but he wasn't a peasant
I
originally.
mean, it's your guy, mate. Like, you know, go the route that you think makes sense with him. But just when you say Dungeoneer, I was thinking he's like nimble in his feet and all that kind of thing. Sounds more sort of like mountain hopping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Pathfinder would be more better and more
Possibly make a bit more sense, but again, it just depends where you're thinking that he's actually been, what he's done. I mean, I think we had like aided rolls. So if you had Pathfinder, or your Pathfinder was already making the roll, you could also aid the Pathfinder to make a roll as well. Or if somebody's more injured than the other person could do it because they got a better roll. It just depends. It's a bit tougher when there's only three of you.
Yeah, it's not bad having overlapping skills either. Like you said, the aiding rolls. You'd be surprised how many times we had to do that last time. Well, I think you were there.
Yeah, true.
No, exactly.
I was there. I know you forgetting I was there.
Yeah.
I was one of the last survivors.
Yeah. I was like, you know exactly how many times we needed those aided rolls. So it's not bad having overlapping.
I died first if we don't count the one who just wandered off into the night.
Yeah, we have to kill you twice, did we not?
Yes, we did have to kill him twice. Yes, we did. I think we ate him the first time, then somehow he came back. We had to kill him again.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, your guy might end up getting eaten like by the other players before the end of it, anyway.
Oh, right, 'cause we found those rocks that brought people back to life as zombies, didn't we? And I kept them.
And cause a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we unleashed the zombie plague on one village. Because pretty sure that's what killed me at the end.
Oh yeah, you guys take his body. Don't worry. I'm not going to tell you a zombie bit him. That's how he died.
I'm pretty sure I told them to get rid of the body immediately. I did tell them that. Like, you need to get rid of this thing. Like, bury it, burn it, like right now.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking they would have carried it back to like the burial grounds where their camp was before and stuff like that. And it would have been somewhere along the way. He just like, they rested for the night, and he got up and just shambled over and ate with them.
We unleashed the ice bear zombie plague.
I liked it at the end having the guy, the books that he's retrieved.
Yeah, all the bugs I saved up. He's like, oh, thank God, fuel for my fire.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
I can't read. I just burn these.
And then even after all that, you still died in the cold on the way back.
Yeah, I died. Yeah.
So
Died of cold.
like mechanically different in this is, like I said, you got the gear and supplies. I'm thinking you mark one debt at the start, and that gives you your full gear and supplies. when you come back to town anytime and you want to refill both of those, you just mark 1 debt. I don't know if that means that you're never going to get extra debt. But I guess it depends on how many treasures you find, because the amount of treasure you actually find when you find treasure is pretty low. So I'm hoping it's going to be low enough that you have to make a choice about who gets to use the treasure to remove debt that they've accrued, while everyone else is having to mark debt all the time to like freshen their supplies and stuff. So I'm hoping that'll kind of like balance out, because I think if you're marking like 1 debt and only getting back like 1 gear supplies, that's going to be too harsh.
Yeah, I think because last time we didn't come across that much treasure either.
Yeah, I mean the last
yeah?
time, yeah, because I mean last time the whole thing was basically going for like 1 big score at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So are we not starting with any gold in this one?
No, the
No,
debt thing.
no, you would mark like you'll start with 1 debt marked, and then that's you've taken on debt to like fill up your gear and supplies for the journey.
Okay.
And like I said, anything you pull out, a piece of equipment, a tool, a torch, a weapon, whatever, you mark a gear. Anything using supplies for making camp, eating, bandages, stuff like that, you mark supplies. But I mean, this is why we're going to play test, because I don't know at what kind of rate those are going to go down, how often it needs refilled, and you know what kind of tweaks to the balance it's going to need.
Because we might stop twice at towns or 3 times at towns and not find any treasure in between.
Yeah,
Or not find enough treasure in between.
because the treasure is going to be like, when you find treasure at a location, they'll like roll for that on the treasure table as well. So that could go really well or not. And you can only like hold like 6 treasure each person as well. Otherwise you're gonna have to like bank it somewhere, I guess.
So inventory of items, do we need to write what we've got consent in there?
No, I
Or-
was thinking for that is if it's like a special item, like you came across some sort of magic artifact or something like that, or like a quest item kind of thing, you'd write that in there. Or perhaps if you've marked off gear for say a pickaxe, you might write down their pickaxe so you know that's one of the things you've got on you just now.
Right, so you don't have to keep using gear every time you need a pickaxe.
Yeah. I mean, some games have it every time you do something, you mark gear. Which you can kind of justify by saying, okay, it's a pickaxe, so it's going to take up more than 1 gear slot, which is why you're marking it multiple times. But I mean, that may or may not make sense depending on how the game goes.
This thing of like basic things like armor that we pick up obviously, or like starting things like weapons. I also have got hunter as mine and archer, so mine's obviously going to get bows and arrows.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
mark gear, because that's your bow.
Yeah. Okay,
And-
wouldn't that be
And
that
arrows
be
would be
part of our-
supplies, so you mark supplies.
wouldn't that be part of our first gear too? So that like when we mark debt, we get everything we need to start off the quest or whatever. Start
Yeah,
off on our-
Yeah, so when you start, you got a full gear, full supplies, but you don't need to decide what any of that is until you're actually doing stuff.
Right.
But if you're the hunter, one of the first things you're going to do is pull out your bow. So
That'd be
that would
gear.
be, yeah, so that'd be one of the first gear that you mark.
Okay.
Yeah, and the same with like armor. So
Armor.
you don't have to decide until something's injured you if you've actually got armor or not, and then you mark that off as gear.
Alright, so don't mark the gear or write the items in until we've actually got the point we need to use
Until
them.
you've pulled something out, you've defined it.
I like that. That's a little simpler.
So I mean, one of the first things you're going to do is get on a boat. You're going to mark gear as a boat. And that's you got your boat. Saying I'm not sure how like quickly those are going to fill up, how often they're going to need refilled. So I don't know at what rate taking on debt to recover them should be set at. If it should be like 1 debt recovers the whole thing, 1 debt recovers both of them, 1 debt recovers just 1 tick. But my instinct is that 1 debt refills everything. Should kind of work better.
You could also do 1 debt if we're like staying in the town just to sleep, and then another debt to refill all of our gear supplies. Kind of deal, maybe.
Yeah, or depend. I think I've actually got it around in there. I'll need to check because I haven't looked at it for a while. If it depends on the role that the person negotiating where you're staying in the town. If they get a very good roll, that one debt is going to cover like everything. If they get a poor roll, that one debt might only cover one of a choice of things.
Right.
Well, it does seem like we'll be using a lot more gear in the beginning, and as we're pulling stuff out. But once we have all our stuff already, we won't be pulling out as much gear, will we?
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of time when you get to a place, I mean, okay, so let's say you pull out the rowboat at the start, and then you end up filling up all your gear by the time you get to the next town. But if you want to pull out that rowboat to use in a different like situation or a different place, you would have to mark it a second time. And that's just also kind of showing sort of wear and tear on the thing that you're using.
So what if my weapon is just a branch I pick up off the ground? Can I always just throw it away and pick up a new one?
Yeah, but you would do like the survivalist roll to get like a good quality stick that's actually worth using as a weapon, because not all sticks you find on the ground are any good to use as a weapon. You're going to need something that's good and sturdy, and, you know what I mean, that's not rotten or damp or whatever.
Okay, so it's gonna depend on the item if we mark gear multiple times or not. Like you said, rowboat you would because it would mark wear and tear.
Yeah,
Whereas like if you're using your sword, you shouldn't have to keep marking that every time you use your sword, kind of deal.
correct.
Okay, I get it. So like survivalist and stuff like that we can roll to get supplies back.
Yeah, the same with the hunter, you can like roll to get supplies back for hunting stuff. I mean, this is why we're playtesting, to kind of see if it actually works all together. Because in my head it should, but we'll need to see, like, because different situations crop up in different use cases.
Yeah, and then we like do different things than you expected, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, usually do stuff I don't think of at all. And then I'll be like, oh, this doesn't work at all. I need to change this completely.
And you see our XP going up quite quickly at some point. Not each time you make test and your trait applies. The amount of times we had traits apply to all our tests.
Yeah, I mean, that's by design. You should get a lot of XP early on, and it'll dry up as you get better at doing your rolls.
Right, because like at the beginning you'll be failing a lot of your rolls, so you'll get like double the XP. But then as you get better, you don't be failing as much, so you only get XP when you use your trait, kind of deal.
And as well, I mean, at the start, when you're near the river and you're going to different settlements, it's going to be easy mode. But then when you start going off into the wilderness, it's going to be a long time before you get back to a settlement place.
Oh yeah, we know. That's how we died last time. We was like we gotta leave the settlements, and then we died. Like,
Yeah,
we just-
exactly. Especially that's because we have like a chain of settlements going across the map there. And then just when you go off into anywhere else and coming back, that's going to be gauging how far you can go before you have to turn back and restock.
Well, I think my character is done. I'm gonna make some food while you guys still debate, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's anything else, we can wrap up session 0 there.
I think I've got everything for mine. I'll send it to you just now, you can double check.
Yeah, send them to me on Discord, it's probably the easiest way.
Alright, yeah, I think mine's good.
Cool. Okay, yeah, so we'll start next week, guys, and get a full session in. I don't think anyone else will be joining us, because I think I asked everyone it would be suitable already. Yeah, that's us.
Right, let me see if I can't load this. You want this to send it in the ATE channel or to you personally?
Just DM it to me, probably best.
Alright.
Because if you do it in the Discord one, it'll end up getting fucking lost further up.
I'm so fucking happy that I got my computer working. I can do this again.
I'm happy
Okay.
because I can actually make out what you're saying.
Was it bad?
Yeah,
I didn't know how bad my
But you
mic
don't
was.
listen to recordings? Like, it's awful.
No, I was afraid. I was afraid to. I was like, I don't want to hear myself talk.
Some are real
I
bad,
just
man.
listened to all Citizen Evil, the latest one you did, and I was listening. I could hear them I could just turn up a little.
Yeah. Do you know what it was? It wasn't even like the quality, it was the inconsistency of the volume. Because it would go like super quiet and kind of distorted. And then you'd come in like real loud like this.
And I
I was so
wouldn't
surprised
even
that when you all lad and never set the fire off. I was the only thing I could picture every time when you as it can progress, it's like watching the Three Stooges movie. That's the way I could picture it.
Oh God. Ugh.
But yeah, I'm glad your stuff's sorted.
Well, to get through, I think other one I started a wee bit of the 0 to Hero and I've started a wee bit of the Bloodening.
Yeah, at the start of Zero Hero, the audio was really bad for quite a few of the people. I think Bird was the only person whose mic was actually working properly. So that's a bit of that's a bit of a slog to get through before it's actually listenable.
Yeah, for some reason my computer's like half the time decides my audio needs to come through every single speaker I have.
Can you not just turn off your speakers?
I try, but then it comes through the monitor and the headphones.
Right. Yeah, you should be able to disable the output separately in your Windows options for sound.
Yeah, that's what I had to do to fix my sound. I go disable everything but my headset.
When you set it on the Discord, you can set it only specific ones, and that seems to work fine.
That's where you're setting the outputs coming from, yeah. But if it's like coming out in multiple outputs at the same time, you do it through the Windows setting. Because you can disable each device as a input and output. Or should be able to anyway. Gets kind of fucky with updates like me and Drake were saying.
Yeah, every time it updates, I gotta go back and re-disable everything. Like it re-enables them and it fucks something else up. I'm like, fuck, god damn it.
My cat also like runs across my keyboard at times, and then I don't know what the fuck she's done.
It sounded like a child spoke earlier, and then you said the cat distracted me, so I didn't know if like the cat had, if you have like sounds attached to some keys that it was pressing or what.
Yeah, because I've got sounds of children attached to my keys as a sample.
I have no idea. It just saying it sounded like a little child had spoke, and I was like, oh, someone's wife had spoken. I was like, who's that? And you said something like my cat's like distracting me or some shit.
No, that was
like,
his. That was his daughter, but it was exactly the same time as my cat was also trying to eat the microphone.
Right, so I was like, I don't know what the fuck a cat has to do with that, but it's like...
There's this
There's
new
not-
thing you
there's
can
like-
get. It's like a little plastic clip cover that it just clips onto your keyboard and sits like 2 inches above it, so that animals will just run across it. Hopefully,
Right. I mean, they're usually pretty good at just running across the top of it between the keyboard and the screen, but sometimes she decides to just go flat right across the fucking keys. And because this has got like volume controls and stuff on the keyboard, if she hits that, and I'm just like, what's she fucking done?
it's like everyone's suddenly so quiet.
Well, it's annoying
So
because
we had-
sometimes I could be talking, and then I don't know that she's muted it or something, do you know what I mean?
I hate cats. God, I hate cats.
Mines are actually really well behaved. They don't fuck around too much. It's just if it's feeding time and I'm doing this, they come to me and they're like, it's time to get fed. And I'm like,
Yeah, like
go bother
like-
the other person.
They just show up and say, "We demand your attention."
Pretty much, yeah.
the cats were a lot like huskies. My huskies were a lot like cats, I should say. Like when they wouldn't bark, they wouldn't do anything, but the moment I'm like on a phone call or something, they want my attention. Like
Yeah.
Right.
I think they
every time.
I think they get confused because they hear you talking, but they're like, you're not talking at me because you're not looking at me. Who are you talking to? And then
Right, and they'll start like howling and barking and like
Yeah.
coming up and hitting me with their heads, like, "Hey, pet me, pay attention to me, like
Yeah,
you're talking,
yeah.
talk to me." I'm like, "God damn it!"
when I started like use my microphone more in front of them, one of them was definitely like that, and she's like, come and sit right in front of me here, because she was like, you're talking to me. Look at me when you're talking to me. But yeah, it's animals.
Just so you know, by the way, date-wise, I won't be able to do when the 12th of February in sessions, just so you know, I'll be away at that point.
Yeah, just let me
What-
know like before which dates it is you're not there for.
I should be alright for all of them. I was invited to an event on the 29th, but I'm not sure if I'm going to it or not.
Yeah, just let me know beforehand. Like I said, I was trying to get a fourth person in because it was quite harsh last time with just 3 people. And he said he was going to, and then it's like, I didn't get a chance to listen to them, so I don't think I'm going to. I don't know why. Bird is such a good player. I don't know why he's reluctant to play in other games. Because he always plays in the fantasy game, and he enjoys it, so I don't know why he doesn't play in the other ones. I think he's just like nervous of playing with different people or something.
I was too. Like I'm nervous playing with different people, but
I don't know why. Like, everybody in my Discord's a fucking nerd. Like, there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
yeah, we're not judging you, dude. Do whatever.
We'll make the best of it. We're all different as well. I hope I said the whole citizen, and I'm sure listening to it is saying, this sounds just so funny and so strange. It's like, and I'm thinking, this is how I would have done this. What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think these are that different. I mean, by now I know everybody well enough. I know who goes. It's nice because when I'm doing a game, I'm like, okay, this is what this game is going to be like. I know which people have got the play styles and personalities that would work well together in this type of game. So there's like people I will ask to play in like an investigation game, and people I will ask to play in like an adventure game. And then there's people who I know I won't ask for particular types of games because they just wouldn't suit them.
Yeah, like every time you guys been playing like everybody's Elon or something like that, I never want to play that game.
Yeah, if it's something super silly, I know Drake's not going to win into it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be into
Although
that.
you did the paranoia one with us that one time, and that was fun.
Yeah, that one was actually kind of fun. I'll give you that one. That one was good.
I don't know if that's because Fez and Prom don't really play in a lot of games as well.
Yeah, they more do like the silly one shots every once in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, they don't play in a lot of RPGs. So they're like coming at it kind of differently as well.
I don't know. My strategy is how can we get this done as chaotically as possible?
I know, dude. Oh my god, I know.
Yeah, I mean, you're like a slightly tamer version of your brother.
Uh,
A slightly more sensible version.
that scares me that you're the more sensible one. Oh Jesus.
At first, I thought Alex was a lot more sensible than yes.
Well, in my first, like one of my first D&D games, or it was like Shadowrun or something like that, but it was in space. We had to get into this fortress, and everyone else had all these really, really thought out plans. My plan was just to dig under the wall and get in that way.
One of my favourites was we were playing the Shadowrun, and they had to. I think Drac played in this one maybe.
I don't think I played inside the one with you.
It was a Shadowrun one. I was testing that version. I did myself, and they had to get in. It was all like cameras. I think it was a shopping mall, and they had to get into like this arcade store to steal data. And Prom was playing like a Minotaur whose specialism was like a rocket launcher, and Dave was like, "Does anyone have lock picking?" And Prom said, "Yeah, I can pick a lock."
Oh my god.
And he went, "Okay, all right. So you go. You just pick the lock in the front." And he went, "Okay." He pulled out the rocket launcher, fired it at the fucking door.
Was that the one where I was just the engineer who just stayed as far away from everything as I could?
Possibly. I can't really remember if it was that.
Oh my god. Jesus. Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
can pick a lock. I
Yeah,
got
he's like, can anyone lockpick? And he's like, I can. And he went, okay, just completely believing him. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know what I was thinking when I was letting him play that, though. It was funny, though. And they were just like, what the fuck? He's like, what? It's open. Fucking fire alarms going off everywhere, sirens blazing, the fucking cops coming down the street.
I got it, dude. It's open. Let's go.
But yeah, that's a problem.
Oh, I'd be dying of that one.
Oh, when we did the fantasy one, he had an axe that let him like rip portals into other dimensions. But what actually happened was like kind of up to him. So he was just pulling all kinds of fucking random shit, and it was like this hentai tentacle god coming out of this ocean dimension and shit like that.
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, and then he found that old samurai ghost, but he challenged him to a duel because I don't remember why.
Because reasons. And we were playing the villain one. He was like the evil Ronin who had like spider abilities, but he also started throwing chairs for some reason at everything. And he had like one of those like infinite bags, and he was just pulling table chairs out and throwing them at people. I don't know what. Yeah, he just went off in a fucking rail there, man. Yeah, so that's Prom. Prom doesn't play in a lot of games.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see why.
I mean, if you want a game that's chaos, like paranoia stuff is good.
I just could picture him in a mythos one, I can imagine.
Yeah, he doesn't
He's
get asked
the
about that.
very definition of chaotic evil.
And the first game I played with Alex was the space one, and he was like a killer robot, like who harvested people's organs that he could sell.
That was a funny one. I wish I'd got like, a proper kind of ending to it instead of just falling apart like it did.
Yeah, the one where we all tried to be dogs was a little bit too silly for the compared to the one before it.
It was,
I didn't get to play in that one. I don't think.
it was too silly for me. They were. It was a great premise. They were like all dogs, space dogs, and their ship. They were like garbage men. So they went around
Right.
collecting garbage, eating garbage, playing in garbage. It was a great premise, just like intergalactic garbage men. And we did one session, and it got really silly with like dog space pirates and stuff. And then I was just like, I can't run this campaign. This is too much for me.
Yeah, I think that's when we might have to start setting limits, right?
I could do like silly one shots, but I've not got the energy to do like whole campaigns.
You should do a one shot where it's just a game where everyone's dogs, but it's the modern world.
I don't find dogs that funny. I don't.
How about just random animals?
Well, that's what RML's for, right? Because RML was that everyone was like an animal.
Are you trying to pull like a Freaky Friday? You switch bodies with an animal? Is that what you're looking for?
I don't know.
Like movies and all like that.
It has like Tim Allen
It's
in
a
it.
weird one about people and dogs. It's like the whole dog's got a transport
Shaggy
to an
dog?
island.
Oh,
No, it's all got transport to an island, and because something about they think dogs had a disease, something, so all dogs got transported to this island.
is that the Isle of Dogs, the animated thing? It's like
Aye, that's
stop
what I'm thinking.
animation. It's a Wes Anderson film. I've not watched that. It's maybe real good.
I never watched it myself, but I remember seeing parts of like the premise of it anyway.
There's
Oh, no,
But
also
the idea behind that would probably work in a sense more.
yeah, but I'd be more serious. The other thing with like silly games is a lot of time it sounds like a good premise and then it's not.
I've got it. How about it's modern day, but every animal has been switched bodies with a person, and every person has been switched bodies with an animal. So all the people are running around acting like animals, like some guys just flapping their wings while running around.
See, that
trying
might
to
be
fly.
funnier as like a Family Guy episode or something. I don't think it's for a 3-hour game it's going to be that funny.
Oh yeah.
Some of the Pokemon ones were brilliant. I can't remember who I was playing with when I created the character Bobby Beston. I could not stop laughing at that one.
You also have your own sense of humour.
Yeah,
the same
that's
as mine.
true.
No, it's not the same sense of humour as mine.
I just thought it was hilarious just going at it all, just causing chaos at it all.
Yeah, light-hearted stuff I'm fine with when there's lots of jokes. That's perfectly fine. But with an outright silly game session, not so much.
Yeah, the psychic dog who demanded to be carried everywhere was a little bit too silly. I'll admit that.
It was fun for the one session, that one, but I love the premise, but I just couldn't carry a whole like season campaign of it.
Who was the spider in the space one that was like afraid of ice cream? Or whatever the
That's Tink's little brother, Alan, was playing that.
fuck? Oh.
Yeah, the psychic spider that loved ice cream.
Yeah, loved ice cream. That's what it was. That one was a little silly to me, but
Oh, that was really silly.
That's my brother for you, though.
That was a... Alan can play serious. He was in my Blooded game, which was an investigation one, and he was a serious character in that.
right.
But yeah, I mean, that was a quite silly sort of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of setting.
Right.
But I mean, that one was serious enough you could carry it as a story, do you know what I mean?
Oh no, it was great. It was great. There was just some silly moments in there.
Wait, has my most serious character been so far just been the guy who summons ducks?
No, I think if Luke at the water guy from the Heroes one, that was quite a sensible one in a sense.
Was he?
I mean, I just
Well-
started like executing criminals.
Well, sorry to the giant waterman and destroying part of the city.
The Supers game went in a direction that was not the direction I intended the game to be in the first place.
It kind of turned into The Boys, where we were just everyone just thought we were heroes, but we were actually just pushing our own agendas.
I don't think it was as coherent as The Boys.
No.
I think the first sort of like Halo trial one, that was definitely the boys one. And I believe because of zombie apocalypse, I would just spread it like several countries.
I mean, the Supers one ended up okay. But when I got to the where we ended it, I just wanted to wrap it up because I'd lost interest because it wasn't the type of game I wanted it to be.
I want to say I followed. I didn't follow it closely, but I followed your post in the superhero one. I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't play in that one. By the end,
I think the first the test heroes one, that one sort of worked a bit more
Yeah,
sort
because
of
it was one
coherent. I
off.
think it was really,
Yeah,
and it was
I
more
had a
silly as well.
yeah, I had a story structure to that we followed, so it was kind of like an episode that worked. I mean, the campaign thing wasn't bad. I got the elements in there I wanted in there, but I wanted more like inter-team stuff going on, drama, relationships, and you guys didn't do any of that. You just wanted to do the fun superhero stuff that you could do your powers. And that's fine, but that just wasn't the type of game that I wanted it to be. Because I just came off playing, I think it was the Fantasy Adventure one, and in a lot of those ones we have sort of deep characters talking to other characters and developing their sort of own inter-party storylines and character arcs and stuff like that. And then we went to play that one, and it wasn't like that at all.
I just want to blast stuff with my laser eyes. Come on.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, I should have expected that when I let people make up their own powers and that kind of stuff. But that's. I didn't want it to just be about that.
Quantum singularity, black holes.
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah. I mean, I like it when characters are like, interacting with the other characters and developing their own sort of relationships and arcs and storylines between them, and then you can bring that into the bigger storyline at certain points. I don't always do very well. I don't think I'm very good at doing endings, to be honest, but I like it being part of the whole experience. Whereas some people just like to come in and just like blast things and do the silly stuff.
I was trying to make it dramatic. I was trying to convince the city to do whatever I was trying to convince them to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying anyone in particular was like doing it wrong. I don't think anyone was doing it wrong. But it's just the direction it ended up going wasn't quite the direction I wanted it to be at the start.
And it's because we're quite mishmashed in terms of like characteristics.
Yeah, yeah.
So it kind of like sort of, in a sense, we sort of forced ourselves in a sense of a team because of the situation, rather than saying naturally sort of like flowed together in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's about getting the right players with the same mindset and doing a session 0 where everybody gets on the same page for the type of game you want it to be. And we didn't like hone that down as well as maybe I should have honed it down at the start.
I think what if like the first session of whatever the next superhero one is just like some big crisis that just forces the characters to work together. And that's why they form their team.
Or like those Justice League type things.
Yeah, like the
but then you've got to do that awkward thing at the start where you're getting everybody introduced into each other. Honestly, it's better when you start and you're already a team for whatever reason. Do you know what I mean? Because then you're not trying to can make the connections between players at the start. You're already just saying, okay, they have a connection, and just play off it.
As long as we don't have another Captain Mexico getting deported.
Yeah, I mean, it can be really awkward having players sit down and having to introduce themselves and describe themselves, and it takes up a chunk of time as well, and it's not all that interesting.
Well, you could still have, like he said, the situation where they force a team up together, but they're all superheroes, so they all know about each other, or they've all worked together before in the past, so you would still have those relationships. You wouldn't have to introduce each character like that.
It's not so much the setting of the storyline like that that's the issue, though. It's having players that are in the mindset that they want to interact, like role play with the other character. Right. And like, and find those kind of things. Like Phil in our adventure game is really good at that. He wants to really just get into why his character's doing this thing and talk to other characters about it and find out about them in character. And a lot of people aren't that role play kind of focused. They're more action focused or mechanical focused.
Yeah, he was pretty good at that in our 0 to Hero game. Caught me off guard a few times when he wanted to talk to me. I was like, fuck, I don't know what to say. I wasn't prepared for this. I was like,
I-
fuck.
I'm the same way whenever he's trying to include me into his big backstories.
But I mean,
I mean,
you two in particular are good at like catching onto the hooks that he's trying to lay down for stuff like that as well, though. Some people just aren't responsive to hooks. You know what I mean?
I think that's part of it. Like, I like playing off of people. So like, while it catches me off guard, and I may like take a couple minutes, like, fuck, what did I do or say? I like that as a part of the game. It's like
Yeah.
a challenge, you know.
Yeah.
So
think
I
that's
really
just how it
enjoyed
works.
that game.
When you go draft,
No, I just said I really enjoyed that game because of that.
Yeah,
say
I
it's
enjoyed.
not-
I did enjoy almost killing you all at the end of the game.
On you go, think.
I've seen that sort of like worked a wee bit with, I think, with this one first time we done it because the traits things seemed to help that bit more. That fact if you explained a bit of story between your character,
Well,
it built the trait, it built obviously your traits up, so it sort of it gave you sort of more
yeah.
incentive to build that character.
That was my idea with them, because I was like, you could write down all this stuff for your character before we play, but then half of it's never going to get brought up, half of it's not going to be relevant, and the only way for you to really express it to other player characters is to sit down and just like read it out to them. It's not very interesting. But if you have to incorporate into, you encourage players to do it by incorporating it into the player progression, but then also get them to phrase it under something like, you know, a campfire discussion or something similar, to try and make it a little more natural and part of the roleplay. In my mind, at least, that should work a little better. And then because you're doing like piecemeal, you don't have to have it all thought out beforehand. You can like change it and adapt it as you go along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one of the things I changed it in when we were doing this one last time. It was quite funny just come up with the fly. Okay, what does this bit mean? Or how do we do this bit mean?
Yeah, and you're not necessarily doing it on the fly, because you could write it all down beforehand if you wanted and have it ready to go, but you don't need it there until, you know, you need to state it. And it's kind of like the same with adventure gear and stuff like that works. You don't need it there until you're declaring it. So it leaves it open for you to change it or alter it, depending on how things have gone so far.
And see, most of the year we've done to a bear ritual.
I don't think we've done any games that I've really like thought went really badly that I can think of. My Ghostbusters one is probably closest to that, because we did like 2 sessions of it, and the format and what I've written and the players just wasn't gelling. It wasn't working out at all. But after 2 sessions, I was like, well, there's no point making it painful by pushing it through. It's like, we'll just quit right now before it gets worse.
That reminds me, I gotta think of some poems about the desolate, icy wastelands for my orator character.
Yeah, I'm going to expect poetry.
Oh my god.
Edgar Allan Poe. Here we go.
But yeah,
The bad part is we're gonna have to listen to that poetry.
yeah, it's the worst bit.
I'm just waiting to hear how many times it refers to about a bear god.
So I'm thinking, I mean, usually I do campaigns 8 to 12 sessions. So we'll do this one, wrap that up. And then if you guys are on board for afterwards, we'll do the Pokemon one, same slot afterwards. Probably you 3 plus Phil, maybe.
Yeah, I would like Phil on that one, because the Pokemon's a lot about, like, you know, making connections with the other trainers or the other Pokemon. So Phil would work really good in that one,
Yeah.
I think.
You don't want to just be like speed racer kind of character. Like, you are my rival. I will battle you now.
No, that gets boring kind of quickly for me, you know. It's like when books and like all the you read the book, but like every encounter the main character gets into is kind of like the same shit over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like I get bored of the book. Like it's
Always
the same
somehow
thing,
what-
but flavored differently. Like Jesus.
Let's be over hyperactive child. That's what things is going to be.
Are the Pokemon we get going to be completely random like before?
What? They weren't random before.
I mean,
the one you start with. No, because you get to create your Pokemon. So you get to actually like build it, design it. And it doesn't have to be styled off after an actual Pokemon. I mean, you could just make up a random thing.
And we don't have to be children, do we? Like we can start off a little bit older. 'Cause I don't know if I can play a 10-year-old. You know, I don't know how well that would go.
I'm
for
not
me.
really comfortable people playing children. Maybe like 16-year-olds onwards, perhaps. because they're a little more grown up.
I can play a teenager. I still feel like one, even though I'm not. So I can do a
Yeah.
teenager. But I don't know if I can do a 10-year-old. I wouldn't even know
I
how
mean,
to-
we'll discuss it at the time and see what kind of setting, what kind of adventure we want it to be. If you want it to all be like coming up together from the same village or something, or not. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be like giving you that randomly at the start, unless you want to do that. I think you'll probably just get to like design the one that you want to start with. There's a lot more kind of scope in that, and this would be one the way I've written it for them to level up and to tailor it as you level up as well. Again, on paper, I think it makes sense and it'll work, but we won't know until we actually play it. Right, well, I'm going to go anyway, guys. Thanks for coming for this one, and I'll see you next week.
Alright, see you guys later.
Food. See you guys.